On the 1st of February 2022, the rollout of the Operation Clean Your Frontage policy was officially launched. This forms part of a bigger agenda or scheme by the Greater Accra Regional Minister to make Accra work. Now, as part of this policy, individuals, residents, and of course corporate organizations or businesses within localities are expected to take responsibility of their frontage, to clean their frontage and to make it neat. A successful implementation of this initiative, we see gutters like this rid of filth. We see Accra clean, and of course aid in coming to fruition the promise of the president to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa. It's been a week after the rollout. On this edition of the City Newsroom, we're looking at the implementation of the policy, the challenges in there, and of course the solutions that can be preferred to see to a successful implementation of this policy. Stay with us as we bring you an in-depth analysis of the Operation Clean Your Frontage policy. In Ablekuma Central, the Russia area, a place called Bawili. When we got here, we've seen a poster on one of the gates to a house suggesting or announcing the policy or program, Operation Clean Your Frontage. Just across the road or the street, you see a choked gutter. Some attempt has been made to desilt it, but it looks like the task is quite daunting for residents here. They have raised some concerns, and so we're going to engage them to find out clearly what the difficulty for them is. We have a lady here who is fetching or working on her cassava dough. I'm going to ask for a seat, sit by her and engage her briefly on this challenge. Yeah, that's a bit. If I show you, say, got a that when him hey, as a moyema. Abayin so see and obian ten ne gata mu obian siesie in the store and as in fear him. Or how by na mu fam anti mu to me sagata him.
Pachoya ye nimu hase no. Ye yi mu ane ye de na kata but nsuo no ntumi nko ejina fa ko. Enti se ye yi mu kura po na se yamfa ade we yankata so amframa no ebo a Roberts no esan egugum. Enti time bia na emu ayefi. Omo se ye yi mu nso a my yura no engu anu sei ana ye yi mu nso sei a nsuo ni wo mu sa no bola bia emfa enti sei ya ye ni mu dia ye beye
enti mu yi amu di gu kwan no ho sa
di gu kwan no ho sei na nka emu wo a na nka bola afo afa because nsuo ni wo mu a omo mfa ye nim ba bi nso ye de be kwa kogu enti se omo beti ma ye ba bi ana ka bi a ye yi mu a e bi a ye yi gata ni mu a ka bi si ye enti mu nso se yura na ye fa nkogu mu a anka ye be penisa chire mu chire omo kuro po omo se omo de omo ba efigu omo besamra ye o gata ni mu nso a omo besamra ye.
Still within the Ablekuma Central area, when you move up from the Pawili stretch of Russia, you get to the taxi rank area, also Russia. Now, it looks as though the main problem here has to do with the drainage system. There's a gentleman here who has lived here for quite a while, and he will explain to us really what the challenge is. Thank you for joining us on the City News.
Thank you too.
You have heard of Operation Clean Your Frontage, but how difficult has it been complying with it? Because we noticed that your gutters still really is nothing to write home about.
The main problem here has to do with the drainage, has to do with the stagnation of the water. It doesn't move. Okay, so each time you pour water into the gutter, it sits in. And then you have the plastic and the refuse, also the air blowing them into it. So anytime we clean, you realize that we still have a level of water which is a bit muddy. And it's still stuck in the gutter. It doesn't move. You can see the stretch. There's no slope. From my right and to my left, there's no slope. So each time we clean these gutters, you realize that it's been cleaned, but then there's still water. And there's muddy water. But supposing it were to be moving, then again we can say that the Operation Clean Your Frontage is not being held here. But we are doing our best.
There appears to be some level of compliance with the Operation Clean Your Frontage policy, visit to some areas in the capital, clearly you see the changes that have been made. Where I am standing now is Latabiokoshi, the town council line, and you can see how neat the place is, all the way from the park, or what is used as a football pitch by members of the community, down into the various lanes connecting the residents. I mean, the streets are clean, gutters have been cleaned, as against the filth or choked gutters that you would have seen. The story is not the same now, because the areas appear, well, neat to an extent, because clearly residents have been doing some work, some communal work, clearing the area of filth and making sure that the place or their frontages remain neat. The community is somewhat of a mixed bag, made up of residential properties that have been converted into commercial properties. In some of the houses in front of them, they have converted it to mini shops where they sell all sorts of products. And typically with such areas, there would have been some level of dirt or filth visible in these areas. But when you come here now, Latabiokoshi Town Council line, you would notice that the area really has been cleaned and is looking pretty neat, if you ask me. And so it tells you, or it gives you an idea of the level of compliance with the Operation Clean Your Frontage policy. We'll be speaking to City News' Ni Ayikwe Okain, who has been covering activities of the Greater Accra Regional Minister, the planning process through to the launch and, of course, the implementation of the policy. Ni, you're welcome to the City News.
Thank you, Tufo.
Grateful. Really, tell us, what is the scope of work and what exactly does the Operation Clean Your Frontage policy seek to achieve?
Wherever you stay or you operate as a shop owner or a corporate entity or whatever, you have to ensure that your frontage is clean. From wherever you operate to the street in front of you, by you or behind you, you have to ensure that the place is clean before you undertake any activity of yours. And it was also made known to us by the Greater Accra Regional Minister that this is an agenda that is going to sensitize Ghanaians or residents within Accra on the need for them to cultivate it as a habit on a regular basis to ensure that their environs are clean. And it's also going to have the municipal environmental health officers of the various assemblies stepping out to the communities in Accra to ensure that persons who have filthy environs are actually summoned and sanctioned. Following the launch of the Operation Clean Your Frontage at the Independence Square by the President together with the Greater Accra Regional Minister, we had some security officers who were actually outdoored. These people are going to be part of the task force. This is a task force that has been termed as the City Response Team. So these people are currently under training by military officers to ensure that after, the minister made it known to us that they had 2 weeks more left for them to, graduate, I should put it, from whatever training that they are undergoing so that they can man the communities.
What sanctions are there for a person who more or less flouts this policy?
Persons who supervise over filthy environs could actually be fined.
We've come to the office of the Municipal Environmental Health Officer for Ablekuma Central. 1 week after the launch of Operation Clean Your Frontage, generally what has been your assessment, your observation, and what monitoring tools have you deployed so far?
So far, I would say so good. In a sense that I think the public has come to understand that it is their duty to clean their frontages, and then it is no more the duty of the assembly. But some are still recalcitrant, and we still need to continue appealing to their conscience to understand.
It looks like generally the challenge is that when they silt, usually what they pick out of the gutters is heavy with liquid or wastewater. And so when they try getting the waste collectors to pick up, they have a challenge. Either they have to pay extra or wait till it dries up before it is collected. This is more or less posing a challenge to this policy, isn't it?
I would say somehow it's posing a challenge because the tricycles or the abuboyas, when the waste from the drain contains water, they wouldn't like to pick it because they would ask that the water should drain a little before they pick it. So it's somehow a little challenge which we need to look at that aspect and see how best we'll come up with solutions that will help the assembly and the residents as a whole. Because as I speak to you now, means of transport is a difficulty.
You're constrained?
Exactly. We are.
You're unable to deploy officers into the various communities to monitor?
For the deployment, we are not facing challenge with the deployment because we have staffs which are ready to work. But as to how they get to the field is the challenge.
These staff, some of them the national service personnel that the minister spoke of?
No, not for me, national service, where I don't even have a national service. I have only one. But the EHOs, the environmental health officers, I have enough who are very trained and capable to do the work. But we need, even if environmental health department can have a vehicle, just one vehicle, we will do marvelous. I bet you. I know the type of staff I have. They are very capable and they can do the work.
That's the environmental health officer for Ablekuma Central, and the call is to increase the level of sensitization to get you and I to buy into the Operation Clean Your Frontage policy, so that all in all we can make Accra as clean as you and I would want it.